Hey guys, this is Aziz and it is Tech Time. Today I'm going to show you a tutorial on functions and how to pass things to them, void and type functions, and a little bit about global variables. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to start and then Microsoft Visual Studio. Let's go ahead and click that and let's make a new project. And let's go ahead on empty project and make the project name, which is functions. The numbers are just for me to format them, so let's go ahead and make the functions. And in the source file, right click, add new item. Let's go ahead and do that and go in C++ file. After you go to C++ file, name it main, enter, and let's go ahead and start our skeleton. Let's go ahead and include f stream for files and strings, just because I'm going to show you all of those too, so we are not missing anything. So I answer all the questions in here. So using name space std, it's going to create main. Let's create a system pause. Alright, so before we do anything, we are going to go ahead and make the functions right in here. We are not going to make the functions right behind it yet. We'll just introduce you to functions one by one. So let's go ahead and create a function right in here. The reason for that is because in Visual Studio the compiler kind of goes like in a highway mode where it goes all down. So if there's a function behind main, it will see main, it will finish main, and then it will finish the whole code, and it will not see what's behind it. It only sees what's before it. So you'd have to create prototypes, which I'll show you later. So let's go ahead and create the first function, which will be a type function, which is the types are string, double, int, float, character, all of those. Those kind of functions are return functions. So I'll show you that in a second. In here you define the type of the function, just like in here for main is a void function, and here we're going to make a string function, and then we're going to give it a name. Here it is main, and here let's do str func1, which is string function 1, and then let's go ahead and open and close the parentheses just like we do in main, and press enter, open and close brackets. It is exactly like how main is. Main is also a function, but it's a different kind of function. So let's go ahead and do our input and output right in here. First of all, we have to create a new variable right in here. You cannot do this string word and expect you can be able to do word in here. The reason for that is because things don't pass to here right away. You have to pass it in between the parentheses right inside. But otherwise, think of functions are like lemons. There is tint right in here and tint right in here. This function cannot see what's inside here. This function cannot see what's inside here unless we allow it to. So let's go ahead and in here let's make a new string. We call it word, and let's initialize it. And right in here let's do cout, please input a word, and let's put a space, and then and here let's do cin word. So now we've inputted the word. The return type of function, which is string, which is anything other than void, because in here in main there is void, and then we don't have a return unless if you make an int you'd have to do a return right in here. But for this it's a string, so it has to have a return function, a return thing in it, a type of string. So if you put an int, you have to return an integer. If you have a double, you have to return a double. So for this one is a string. But what if you don't do that? What if you do cout word? Well, that will give you an error and it will not display word. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's compile it, control F5, and we'll see that there is an error right in here. It's going to press no, and we'll see what the error is by pressing on go to next right in here, and you'll see that the function str func1 must return a value. which is true because it's a string function, so it must return a string. So let's go ahead and do string return, actually return, and return some string. You can return word in here because word is a string, or you can return something else like hello, like that, but we won't do that because we're not returning hello. We want to process something and instead return word. So let's go ahead and call the function right in here because it will not display it by itself right now. Now if we compile, and let's show you, let's go ahead and compile, it will just do press any key to continue because there's space right in here, just this word, system pause. Let's go ahead and press enter. Let's call the function. To call the function, you just call it right in here. So let's go ahead and do strfunc1, open close the parenthesis, and put a semicolon right in there. Now it's calling it, but now it won't do anything still. Let's compile it and see that. Now it will do this, the processing, but it will not return to us because if you put hello, it will not output it for us. The reason for that is because this is a return function, so it will set a variable. For example, you can do this string str word, and you can, let's initialize it, and you can do this. You can do str word is equal to whatever the return thing from str function is returning. So word right here is going to return to this function and is going to say str word is now equal to whatever this function returns to us. It will return word, so str word is going to be whatever is inside word, and then we can display str word, and let's put an end line right in here, and let's go ahead and run it. Now let's put in the word hello, and as you can see there is the output hello. Press any key to continue. Let's press it. Let's see what happened in here. Let's put a dot right in here. Let's put a dot right in here, and let's go to debug mode. And you don't have to do this, you can just watch it. And let's go ahead and press step over, and you can see in here str word is now nothing. And since we're gonna press on this, we're gonna do step over, it will see this code and it will directly go to here and then go inside it. So let's go ahead and press it, and as you can see that it went inside it, and then it will set word to nothing, and then in here cout please input a word. It will display it right in here. Cout please input a word, and then in word, so it will input a word right in here. Let's say hey, and let's press enter. So now it did the input, and now it will return word, which if you stand over it, word is equal to hey, but str word is equal to nothing still. If you stand over it right in here, I guess it's not giving us anything for some reason. Let's go ahead and see our autos, and it is not displaying it right now. So let's go ahead and go inside the function and see it. So let's step over again, and now it is nothing. So now since we are in main, it will give us what str word is, and word is now hey, so it will str will equal whatever strfunc1 returns. And let's go ahead and do step over, and you can see that str word is now hey because str function 1 returned from right in here, returned word and put it inside str word. So now we'll output hello or hey, and system pause, and there we go, there's hey. So let's go ahead and stop it from here. This is one way to do it. There is another way, which is not by doing the equal. You can take that off, backspace it, and you can backspace all of this too. And let's go ahead and put the function, this function, we put it right in here, and let's delete str word. So now you can, let's take off the semicolon. Now you can just do display the str function 1. So whatever it returns, it will be displayed. So let's go ahead and run this code for you, Control F5, and let's see what happens. So let's put a word, hey, and you can see that it displayed hey right in here because it returned the word and cout displayed it. Let's go and close it. Alright, so this is one way of doing the code. An easier way, which is the best way I think, is for making functions, which is a void function, because it's much more flexible. Void, you start it just like main, and then you give it a name just like main str func, and let's call it number 2, or actually let's make it void function 2 or 1 right here, and open and close parentheses, and open the brackets and close them. Right in here we're just going to take this, copy it, and output it in here. And instead of doing return like in here, we will do cout word, just like that. And it will display word for us instead of doing return. We will not have to do any of this. We will just have to call it. So see how this is in here? I'm going to put 2 enters right in here and call void function 1, which is by just giving it its name, func1, open close parentheses, and just put a semicolon. This by itself will display everything, and I won't have to deal with making a variable or doing a cout for it. However, you cannot do this for it. Cout void func1 open close parentheses like that. The reason for that is just because it's a void function, it's not a return type function. It won't allow you to do that. So you'll just have to call it by itself like that, which actually isn't a bad thing because it's less code for you. So let's go ahead and run the function right in here, and not debugging. So now please input a word. Because it hit in the code, it hit this function first, it will go to void function 1. So we are inside void function 1. So let's input a word. Let's say hi, and there it is, hi. The reason I know that this was of void function 1 because we did not have a end line right in here. So it put the word and then went right ahead to str function 1, which is right in here, the next line, and it did please input a word. Let's show you that in slow motion. Let's go ahead and put a dot right in here also and start debugging, and you can see that it first went to here instead of this dot and then continued from there. So let's go ahead and stop it. Alright, so now we have two functions. One is a string function, one is a void function, and we called both of them. So now what if we want to do a string right in here, string word, and then pass it to the, we will do the input right in here, cout please input a word, and then we want to pass it to void function 1, whatever the user inputs right in here, cn word. So after we take the word, we want to pass it to this function, but we cannot do that unless we put it inside these parentheses. So to pass it, we can just put the word right in here. This word will go inside here, but it will have to be declared in here. So let's make a string right in here and call it word from main, like that, and it will be in here. So let's go ahead. After this, we will put a space, and let's do word from main, and let's put an end line, and let's go ahead and comment this code out right in here. To comment things out, you go to here, press that, and now it's commented. So to explain this in the most simple way, whatever happens in here is not what happens in here. You, inside the function in here, what you are doing is talking to this, because it is true that you have word in here, but inside this function you cannot talk to this word. You talk to whatever is given to you inside here and inside here. And this string word, if we take word from here, it will give us an error, as you can see right in here. There is too few arguments in function call, because there is one parameter. This is called a parameter. There is one parameter and you have to give it something. You have to match it. If there is a string right in here, you give a string right in here. If there is like an integer right behind it, right in here, you put an integer. It will give you too few arguments in function call, and you'd have to input something that's an integer. You can put 5, you can put 6, or a variable of type int, but you have to put something in there always. And in here, this word, we made this word inside function, so we have it in here, but to display what has been passed to us by main is right in here, and is going to look where is word from main. It's going to look up and it will see it right in here. If it doesn't see it right in here, it will look up in here. Otherwise, it will not see anything. So let's go ahead and run the function, and let's show you what actually happens. So please input a word, which is right in here. Please input a word, and let's display word. Now this is from main. Let's call it from main. Now it will ask us, please input a word again, because it's right in here. So let's go ahead and input a word. This word. So you can see this word from main. And in here, word has been made to be this word, and word from main is from main, which is in here. So let's go ahead and put the dots right in here. And this is really hard to explain because I'm not showing you on a board or anything like that. I'm just talking about it, so I'm trying to reach as close as I can. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do first thing. We made the word, which is equal to nothing right now, and let's go ahead and go in and cin a word. Now this will go into here to the command prompt, and then it will ask us for a word. So let's go ahead and do main. Now word right here is main. If we stand over it, main has been passed to the void function. If we stand over this, this is nothing still. So let's go ahead and go inside. Now this is main. So what happened is it didn't pass the variable itself, because as you can see in here it is called main, but in here we defined it as a whole different variable. It is called word from main. It is not word anymore. What has been passed is only what is inside it. Only what is inside it, nothing else, not the whole variable. You have to make a whole new variable in here. And in here word is equal to nothing. Right here is nothing. And then let's go ahead inside, and it will ask us for a different word. Now let's say from. Now as you can see in here, the first word is from, which is what we inputted here. But word from main is still main, which is looking right in here, which has been passed through here and inputted here. So let's go ahead and press one more, and now we ended the function. We get out of it, and then we finish, and then we go to system pause, and here it is, from main. So let's go ahead and press enter, and let's stop the debugging right in here. Alright, so we have now two functions that are functioning properly and have no errors. Let's go ahead and put this and close it. So what if we want to make the functions on the bottom, which is most teachers want to do that just because it's more formatted, right? It's more formal to do that in the programming world. So let's go ahead and cut this by going to right click and cut, and let's put it on the bottom. Now let's go ahead, right click and paste right in here. So now we have the functions on the bottom. So now what is going to happen? Let's go ahead and compile it. There will be an error. So let's go ahead and click this, go to next message, identifier not found. And as I mentioned, the compiler looks at this as if it's a highway. If I'm coming in a highway and I don't see my exit, I am destined to see one exit, which is exit main. So once I see exit main, that's it, I'm done. I haven't seen any other exits. So I need to see these signs before I enter main. So when I see this, I know, oh, I've seen this before, so I know it's right there. So to do that, to make the compiler know that there is a function behind this exit, you need to remember that. So you need to tell it that. So to do that, we call them prototypes. The prototype goes as such. You just copy the first line of it, Control C, Control V right here, put a semicolon. That is all you need to do. This is a prototype of the function. Also in here, the same thing. A prototype of the function right in here. So what will happen now, let's go ahead and compile it. It will just run fine. The first word is from, the second word is main, from main, and just runs in fine. No problems in here. So what happened in here is it went in and it saw string star function 1, and it saw that this is just a headline. There is no code, like there is no open and close parentheses right in here. So it knows that this is a prototype, so it will go after it finishes in here, or after it goes in here, it will know that there are functions right behind it. So when you call it, it will go and look behind main to see if the function is actually in there or not. So now we have done this. So let's go ahead and make this more familiar to real programs. So instead of using a word, let's go ahead and make a character. So let's go ahead and do char and make choice, let's say, and equal it to a space. So we are going to make something similar to the calculator example that I have done in my tutorials. So let's go ahead and do let's go ahead and take choice right in here. So we will input choice. So now there is a problem. Choice is a char, but what is inside void function 1 is a string, so it will not accept it. The error is identifier word is unidentified, because we don't have it right in here because we changed it to choice. But in here the error is no suitable constructor exists to convert from char to a string, which is right in there. I cannot move the mouse to go to it, which is string right there. So we have to make it in here a char, and let's give it a different name. Let's give it the name choice. Actually, let's go ahead and undo. The undo, by the way, is right in edit and undo, or control Z. And let's go ahead and create a new function just for this. So let's keep this as word, and let's comment it by doing 2/forwards. And now we have a choice. So please input your choice, which will give them a choice of inputting an addition, a substitution, a multiplication, or a division. Let's close it. So after we take the input, we want to process it. So let's go ahead and create a function right in here, call it void, or let's create it right all the way up so it's easier to reach. Void, and let's make it simple, calc right in here, open and close parentheses, and open and close the brackets. Now first thing right in here, we have to input choice from main. So in here we have to create what is choice. We have to look at that. Choice is a character, so we can make a character and do choice. Right in here we have choice, and let's go ahead and do the processing, and let's go ahead and do switch, which is choice. And now that we have to think about what we're gonna do. So in case it's a plus, we have to do the code in here. We have to add two numbers. So what are the two numbers? We have to take them from the user also. So let's go ahead and do in here a float, and let's make num1 equal to 0.0f, num2 is equal to 0.0f, and let's create a total right in here. Float total equals 0.0f. The reason for that is I want to show you how to pass things back in functions. I don't want to create total right in here. and then display it. I want to pass it back, and then maybe I can do something else with it. So let's go ahead and do this right in here. So do num1 plus num2 and put a semicolon, and let's do total equal to this. But we don't have total, and this is just like I explained before, because we do have total right in here inside main, but we don't have it inside the function, and this function cannot look and see what is inside main. If you stand over this minus, you would see this main highlighted. That is just like a tent. You cannot, simple calc cannot see what is inside main. And what is inside main is for main. So we have to pass total to the function. So we would have to do in here float total, and right, it will accept it, and then we'll have to pass total right in here. And let's go ahead and continue with the code. Let's do a break, and let's copy and paste this, and let's do a minus right in here, and right in here let's do a multiplication, and let's do a division right in here, and the default is default display that you've inputted, you've chosen the wrong operator. Sorry if my spelling is wrong. Just gonna do an end line right in here, and let's go ahead and display the total back. Now we can do cout total, but I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to do something else with the total. Let's say divided by 2, but I don't want to do it in here. I want to send it to another function that will take the total and do some other processing with it. So we have to pass it back. To pass things back to the function, before we do that, let's go ahead and do simple calc, and let's pass choice in it and pass total in here. Put a semicolon, and let's take this, copy it, which is right click, copy, and put it right in here as a prototype to pass something back to main. Because in here, if we do cout total, which I want to show you right in here, let's go ahead and do the function, control F5, compile it, and let's do a multiplication. Now it just displays 0, press any key to continue. The reason for that is total is equal to 0.0. That is true that it did the processing number 1 times number 2, which was 0 times 0, because we never inputted number 1 and number 2, but that is not the reason why. We can do in here number 1 is equal to, or let's go ahead and make in here number 1 is 5 and number 2 is 8, and let's go ahead and compile it just to show you, and let's go ahead and do a multiplication, and let's see in here that it's a 0. Press any key to continue, but it should have been a 40 because it's a multiplication. So go ahead and press enter. The reason for that is cout total right in here, total right this one is 0 right in here, and it never passed it back. So I want to show you right in here. Let's go ahead and put a dot and debug and put a multiplication. In here total is still a 0 right here, see that? And 5 is num1, num2 is 8, press step over, and now total is 40. So in here it did the processing, it got out, it came back in here. Now total is still 0 because we went back to the function, we never passed it back. So to pass things back, you put an and sign right in here, and it will pass it back, and the and sign would have to go for the prototype too. So put an and sign right in here, and it will accept it now. Let's go ahead and take off the dot and do control F5. Let's do a multiplication, and now you can see that this time total is 40. Let's go ahead and close this. What happened is, in here, it passed back total. After it did all the processing in it, it gave me back total. It told me, okay, I have finished this processing and gave you back total. Otherwise, it will not give it to me back. So now we can do something else with total, like divide by 2 and put an end line right in here. Compile it, and let's do 40, or let's do multiplication actually. And now it's 20 because 40 divided by 2 is 20. Go ahead, press enter. So now we know how to do how to make functions void or string, and return type functions or no return, how to pass things back, how to input inside in here. But what if we want to do from a file? That is a different case, because the file have to do input and output from the file. So let's go ahead and create a file in the resource files. Right click, add new item, and scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see a txt file right here, text file. And let's do input and enter. Now we have input.txt right in here. Let's drag it and put it, see this circle, put it to the right in here. One thing to note about input from a file: don't do it inside a function, because the function is called once and you'll have to keep getting input from the file. It's best to do the loop for the file inside main and just call the function to do the input and output. So let's go ahead and fill the input file, which is the numbers, which is 50, 40, a multiplication, 3 and 6, and a division, 5 and 8, and a minus, 9 and 6 with a plus, and 4 and 8 with a double quotes, double quotes right in here. So let's go ahead and save it, and let's go ahead and do a loop right in here for simple calc. And let's do while. Before we do the while, actually, let's go ahead and define the streams. if stream fn. There is no output file stream, so we're not going to do that. Let's go ahead and do a filen.open, and let's open the file, which is input.txt, input.txt, and let's go ahead and close it. Now we have opened the file. Let's do the loop while not the end of file, keep going, and let's press semicolon right in here, right at the end. Let's do Control A and edit advanced format selection. Now it is formatted right. So now what it's gonna do is, please input your choice, which we will not need because it's doing that from the file. So let's go ahead and comment it out, and instead of doing cn, let's do fn. But instead of doing fn choice first, we need to do input the numbers first instead of the character, because character is the last thing. So let's go ahead and do fn num1, num2, and actually not a comma, double less than or double higher than, num1, num2, double higher than, and then choice. Now we don't have num1 and num2, so let's go ahead and copy that from here, which is floats, and let's paste it right in here, and let's take float away and put a comma. So now we have num1 and num2, and let's initialize them back to zeros right in here. Okay, so now everything is a 0. They are floats. They will be passed in here, but they will not be passed to the function itself because they don't have them right here, so we'll have to pass them. So let's pass them right in here, which is num1, num2. Now we're going to have an error. Too many arguments in function called, because this only has 2 arguments. So let's put more arguments in here, comma float num1, comma float num2. Now it will pass the numbers, and then it will bring them back, and then it will bring back total and then display it right in here. Let's go ahead and take this away, and it will just display total, and then that's it. So let's go ahead and compile the function, go to debug, start without debugging, and now we have an error. So let's see what the error is. The error is function does not take 4 arguments. So the reason for that is because our prototype have not changed. What the prototype told the main before it went to the exit main, that it has two parameters, but the actual function has 4, but it didn't see this exit. It only saw this one. So that's why you have to always update your prototype. Always remember that. So let's go ahead and update it. Control S, save it. Control F5, let's compile it, and here is the function running. Now we have 2 problems right in here because of the way we have inputted things. So go to press enter and fix that. You input things before you go into while and at the end. If you're having problems with inputting and outputting inside a file, I've put a tutorial for loops so you can watch that. Let's go ahead and run it. Start without debugging. Now we have it just once, which is 50 times 40, and 3 divided by 6, 5 minus 8, and 9 plus 6, and you've chosen the wrong operator, but the total is still 15 from the previous because we never reinitialize it, which is not a problem here because this is an example. So we're going to press enter. What happened here is we passed things to the simple calculator, but we inputted it here. But what if we don't want to do that? What if we want to do the input inside simple calc? What if we want to do that? We don't want to do the input right in here. We can do that too. The way to do it is we can do in here to pass fn, because you cannot just do this here. Fn num1, num2, and choice. You can do this part of the code, but you cannot do fn because identifier fn is identified because it's just like a variable. So you have to either pass it or you have to pass it. If that's the only option I can think of. So you do comma if stream fn, and with this you also have to put an and sign because you are passing it back. So let's go ahead and update our prototype and do this, copy and paste right in here. So we updated our prototype. So because we have done that, we won't have to do this in here. Let's take it off. Let's go ahead and put the input right at the bottom. The reason for that is because we do take an input right in here, do the processing right in here, and you have to pass fn right in here because it's a variable for the if stream. And the reason for that is because we take the input, we do the calculation, and then we take another input to make sure if we read behind the file, we will know that's in the file. Otherwise, we take more input and we proceed with the code. Let's go ahead and compile, Control F5. And now we have a different problem. All of them is the first total. So let's go ahead and close that, and I'll show you why is that. The reason for that is because we never pass back num1 or num2 or choice. When you're doing processing like file input, you have to pass back everything because you're doing the input right inside in here, and you have to pass it back and tell the compiler, okay, well, let's see what's happening. What did we get? What is the next input? So let's go ahead and put the and sign right in here, and sign right in here, and sign right in here, and let's update our prototype, and let's run the code. Control F5. Now it's running 5 just like before. 2000.5 -3 15, and you've chosen the wrong operator, and 15 again because the last input was 15. Let's go ahead and press enter. Now it is running fine, no problems. It's doing let's explain it once again. These are the prototypes in here, and you have the ifstream fn. You open the file, you do input, you go inside the function, you inside the while loop and then inside the function, and then you do choice, and then you find which one is it, and then do the processing in here, and then you take a new input, you display what happened, which is the total, which we pass back. These and signs are to pass back things, and it has to be exactly the same in the prototype. And one thing that I wanted to show you also, which is global variables. The reason for that is called global because let's say string new or global word equal hello. Now this global word, just because it is not inside any double open and closed brackets, it is for everyone to use. If this was inside main, it will not be global, it will be local, because inside main it will only be used inside main. But because it is being global, not inside brackets, you can use it right in here. For example, let's put global word, and let's put end line, and let's put between them a hello space, and let's use this also right in here. Let's do cout global word. It will display it without any problems because it is a global word. The local variables are like this. This is local. This is all of these are local because you can only and only use it inside this function. Same thing with this word. Only you can use it inside this function. Same thing with this, because they are inside these brackets which are for the functions. And same thing with main. All of these are local. They are only used inside main unless you pass them. The global variable is not inside any brackets. It's on the top, and then anyone can use it. You don't have to pass it or anything, because the way the code looks at things is you go inside here, you call a variable like you call num1. It will keep looking up to see where is num1, where is num1. Oh, here we go, we saw num1 in here, and then it will go inside main. Otherwise, if we did not pass it, it will go, where is main? I don't see main. Okay, we finished checking here. Let's check above us. It will not check under you, because if you put a global variable right in here, because there are no brackets in here, it will not see it. It will only check up. So it will go up and see, okay, I don't see main. I don't see main because it's like a limousine. It's tinted. I cannot see anything inside it, so it skips all of it and then goes in here and checks. Okay, oh, I see. There is a global word. This is a global variable. I can use it, but it's not num1, so I don't do anything because I didn't see num1. But we have passed num1, so it can use it. Otherwise, we can use global variables if it's not if it's something like constants. The constants are like const, like this, and they can never be changed. So you cannot do later global word equal hi. You cannot change them later on, because if you stand over it, it will say this declaration has no storage class or type specifier because it's a constant. Let's take constant off, which I'll explain later on in other tutorials. But this is a global word, so let's go ahead and compile. As you can see, it printed it out everywhere without it having to be passed or without it having to be made inside any of these functions, because it's by itself with no brackets. You can use it anywhere. So this is your introduction to functions. I hope I have explained it as easy as possible and as simple as possible. If you still have any questions about it, please go ahead and ask on my YouTube page, or you can go ahead and on our website, which is indiedevelopment.co, and go to the forums and ask a question right in there. And don't forget to subscribe on your question so you get your answer right away. If you still have a lot of questions on functions, please let me know so I can make another tutorial on a board, so I explain them vividly on a board. And I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching.